On the turbulent 21st century geopolitical stage, the skies of the Middle East are being reshaped by a quiet, persistent, and terrifying new shadow. In recent years, as long-standing geopolitical tensions between Israel, the United States, and Iran continue to escalate toward precarious levels, a revolutionary technology has permanently occupied the center stage of modern military doctrine: the unmanned aerial vehicle. From the highly classified development facilities hidden in Tehran to the technologically advanced Iron Dome and aero defense arrays protecting Tel Aviv and extending across the vital international shipping lanes of the Red Sea, unmanned aerial vehicles, commonly known as UAVs, are fundamentally and aggressively rewriting the classic rules of military engagement. This phenomenon is no longer just a localized battle of tactical defense or border security. It represents a profound, systemic paradigm shift defining the very nature of national sovereignty, global security, and technological supremacy. Today, by utilizing the high-stakes contemporary conflict involving Israel, the United States, and Iran as a critical, multi-layered case study, this video will provide an informative, critical, and thoroughly balanced analysis exploring the technological, security, and deep ethical dimensions of this defining military technology. The primary, indispensable military value of drone technology lies in its unparalleled capacity for persistent, long-endurance aerial surveillance and intelligence gathering. Unlike traditional manned fighter jets that are constrained by pilot fatigue and limited fuel capacity, modern reconnaissance drones can loiter over a designated conflict zone continuously for dozens of hours, feeding uninterrupted streams of high-definition thermal imagery and electronic signals, intelligence directly back to joint command centers. In the integrated defensive and offensive frameworks of the United States and Israel, these aerial assets operate as unblinking, eternal eyes in the sky, monitoring the strategic movements of adversaries and regional proxy groups with absolute clarity. However, drones have evolved far beyond mere passive observation. They are now highly active tactical executioners. Combat UAVs routinely carry out precise strike operations with a devastating find-and-fix capability. In complex counterterrorism operations and targeted elimination campaigns, military forces have repeatedly utilized stealthy drones to bypass sophisticated early warning radar networks and deliver surgical missile strikes directly onto high-value individual targets. While this method minimizes widespread collateral damage compared to traditional carpet bombing, it also profoundly lowers the political and practical threshold for launching kinetic military action. Faced with such highly versatile and unpredictable airborne threats, nation-states around the globe are increasingly compelled to integrate drone technology deeply into their primary national defense architectures. The foremost driving force behind this urgent integration is the vital protection of national sovereignty. In highly volatile regions, such as the Middle East, failing to maintain absolute control over the low-altitude airspace equates to conceding immediate tactical vulnerability to one's adversaries. Drones allow nations to establish an active, dense, and responsive layer of deterrence along highly contested borders. Furthermore, these platforms immensely enhance day-and-night border surveillance capabilities. Traditional border security has historically relied on fixed outposts, physical fences, human land patrols, and ground-based radar systems, all of which are frequently restricted by harsh terrains, vast geographic distances, or adverse weather conditions like sandstorms. Long-endurance drones successfully overcome these severe physical limitations, providing continuous, overlapping, and autonomous coverage across vast expanses of deserts, rugged mountain ranges, and sensitive coastlines, ensuring that any unauthorized intrusion is instantly detected, tracked, and neutralized in real time. Crucially, the deployment of this technology fundamentally and drastically reduces direct risks to military personnel. Conducting operations within heavily defended, hostile airspace once meant risking the precious lives or high-profile capture of highly trained pilot crews. By substituting expensive manned assets with replaceable UAVs, the immediate physical risk of combat is completely absorbed by industrial hardware rather than human lives, fundamentally shifting the strategic and political risk calculation for national decision-makers. Yet, the undeniable tactical efficiency and technological brilliance of drones cannot obscure the severe ethical crises and humanitarian disasters they consistently generate. As remote drone strikes become deeply normalized in military planning, the persistent risks posed to civilian populations remain a significant, inescapable moral stain on modern society. In the dense urban environments and remote, marginalized villages of the Middle East, intelligence failures, corrupted data, or sensor misinterpretations have repeatedly led to catastrophic, heartbreaking errors where peaceful civilian gatherings, weddings, or funerals are misidentified as enemy combatant assemblies, and innocent family homes are mistaken for active weapons depots. The sudden, completely unannounced nature of drone strikes inflicts deep, generational psychological trauma and constant anxiety on entire communities living perpetually beneath their mechanical buzz. Even more alarming is the rapid erosion of direct human accountability within increasingly autonomous military technologies. As modern drones progressively integrate artificial intelligence algorithms to process vast amounts of sensory data and independently select targets, the critical, heavy decision to execute lethal force is being incrementally handed over to cold, mathematical code. If an autonomous machine commits a tragic war crime or violates targeting protocols, where does the legal and moral blame truly lie? Does it rest with the software engineer who wrote the code, the field commander who deployed the asset, or the machine itself? This expanding accountability vacuum threatens the very core of human moral responsibility in the theater of war. This trend directly and aggressively challenges the foundation of international humanitarian law, which relies entirely on the strict enforcement of the principle of distinction, separating innocent civilians from active combatants, and the principle of proportionality. The widespread misuse, illicit modification, and unregulated proliferation of drone technology carry severe, long-term implications for global security and geopolitical stability. In the contemporary Middle East, frequent drone attacks on international commercial shipping lanes in the Red Sea and targeted strikes on cross-border military installations have vividly demonstrated how this technology can destabilize global trade routes and disrupt the delicate geopolitical equilibrium. Because drone technology is easily replicated, modified, and traded through secondary black markets, these weapons frequently fall into the hands of non-state actors, insurgent groups, and militant factions. This democratization of lethal air power effectively nullifies traditional state-level deterrence models, creating a highly volatile, unpredictable security environment where a single rogue drone strike could easily trigger a wider, uncontrollable regional war. Consequently, this reality has ignited an aggressive, relentless technological competition and arms race in military innovation between competing nations. The United States, Israel, Iran, and other global powers are pouring massive national budgets and scientific resources into developing stealth capabilities, artificial swarm intelligence, and autonomous countermeasures. The specific nation that achieves undisputed supremacy in electronic warfare, cognitive computing, and AI-driven drone deployment gains an immense, definitive asymmetric advantage, dangerously widening the security and technological gap between advanced military powers and developing nations. This relentless offensive evolution has naturally accelerated the development of counter-unmanned air systems, widely known as CUAS. From advanced electronic jamming and GPS spoofing networks to high-energy tactical lasers and directed microwave weapons, the rapid, escalating cycle of drone offense and counterdefense forces the pace of modern combat into fractions. To prevent this powerful technology from spiraling completely out of civilizational and ethical control, the international community must urgently design and implement robust, binding global governance frameworks. First and foremost, nations must actively collaborate to establish comprehensive, binding multilateral arms control treaties specifically targeting autonomous weapon systems and lethal drones. Under the direct guidance and enforcement of the United Nations, global security frameworks must explicitly and legally define the permissible boundaries of UAV deployment. strictly prohibit the creation or operational deployment of fully autonomous lethal machines that entirely lack human moral oversight, and enforce rigid, transparent export control mechanisms to decisively halt the illegal flow of critical drone components to extremist entities and rogue actors. Second, sovereign states must ensure that their domestic military doctrines and operational rules of engagement strictly and unconditionally incorporate fundamental humanitarian principles. In every single drone operation conducted, the non-negotiable principle of human in the loop must be maintained as an absolute, permanent requirement, ensuring that a qualified human commander always retains the final, conscious veto over any lethal action. Furthermore, states must significantly elevate their operational transparency by actively permitting independent, unbiased international legal bodies to investigate any incidents involving civilian casualties. This measure is essential to ensure that technology serves exclusively as a tool for legitimate national defense, rather than a mechanism of unaccountable international terror. Technology is, at its core, a direct extension of human capability and ingenuity, but its ultimate application will always remain a profound, defining moral choice. The intensive, strategic integration of drones in contemporary Middle Eastern conflicts provides a stark, undeniable preview of the future of global warfare, a future defined by unprecedented mathematical precision, but also deeply shadowed by immense ethical risks, systemic instability, and human detachment. Technological innovation, no matter how brilliant or efficient, must never be allowed to progress at the absolute expense of our shared humanity, nor should the concept of national security ever be built upon the calculated compromise of international humanitarian law. As we move decisively forward into this highly automated, AI-driven era of human history, humanity must strive with utmost urgency to maintain a delicate, unbreakable balance between technological advancement, national defense requirements, and ethical responsibility. We must collectively ensure that the synthetic lights flashing in our night skies are never the cold, unblinking eyes of automated weapons, but rather the enduring, peaceful stars of a collaborative and global peace.